Welcome to another edition of the Heavy Duty Parts Report, our live broadcast coming at you on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. This is HDPR Live's 30th episode, and I am very happy to be here to talk to you today. We had a scheduled guest. We were going to have John and Buck from the Independent Truck Repair Group on as guests today. Sadly, one of those two guests, they had a family member who has fallen very seriously ill, and so they were unable to attend. And we just want to send out our we feel really bad about that, and we hope that things turn out for the best. And if regardless what happens, we want John and Buck to know that we over at the Heavy Duty Parts Report give them our full support. So today we're going to have a little bit of a different format. It's going to be a solo show. I don't have a guest. Just didn't have time this morning to bring on someone else. But we're gonna talk about supporting independent truck repair shops. That was the subject matter that John and Buck and I were going to cover. We're gonna still talk about that today. So as always on our live broadcast, if you would like to comment, feel free to comment. I'd love to have your participation as we're talking about supporting independent repair shops. Feel free to comment or ask questions. I want you to participate in today's conversation. Okay, so when I was a sales account manager working at a heavy-duty aftermarket parts distribution company, well, several companies, one of the things that was very consistent was that I always had in the top 5 customers, I always had 1 or 2 independent repair shops. I mean, independent repair shops, they buy a lot of parts. Thank you very much, Jim, for your ongoing support. Glad to have you watching today. Really appreciate it. Someone who runs a repair shop who does collision repair, then hopefully some of this information will be useful to you today. So going back to my experience as a sales account manager working with independent repair shops, I would ask them what they wanted. What did they want from a parts company? What did they want from a salesperson? What did they need in their business to help them to be more successful? And oftentimes, it came down to several different things, and we're going to cover those things today. So one of the things that I heard consistently was that as an independent, you don't have the resources that a repair technician who works, let's say, at a truck dealership does, right? You don't have access to VIN information on the truck. You don't have the same kind of training opportunities and ongoing advancement. So you're on your own, and you've got to figure it out on your own. And a lot of independent repair technicians, they end up building a network of people to help them, right? So they will grab kind of from here and from there and from there, and they'll kind of pull it all together, and this empowers them to be able to do their job. And independent repair shops, they serve a very valuable part of the trucking industry. Like, they support the second and third owners. They support fleets that can't handle the maintenance programs and the repairs on their own. They support owner operators who need somewhere to take their truck, to have their truck safety, to have it make sure it meets the highway codes to be able to operate, to make sure that repairs are done, that regular maintenance is done. So, independent repair shops are very important, and they're important to the parts industry, especially aftermarket parts, because like I said, they buy a lot of parts, and they're very important. So we want to support them as much as we can. So as I said, when I would talk to repair shop owners and I would ask them, like, what's missing in your business? Training was a big issue. And I would, as someone who was working for a aftermarket parts company, we had access to a lot of different manufacturers, right? We sold a lot of different products. So I always made a concerted effort to bring manufacturers to my location. We would go out into the field and we would visit these repair shops and give the repair shop owner or the repair technician the opportunity to share what was going on in the field with that particular products, the manufacturer's products. That one-on-one was always important, but we would also strive to put on training lunches and training classes at our store. And these were always well supported. Not everybody would come, but let's say if I had 80 customers in my territory, it was nothing to get 40 of them to the branch to participate in some sort of training class. What I did find, though, was evening classes were not too popular. What we ended up shifting, we would do the evening classes, but like I said, they weren't as well supported. So we shifted away from that, and we started setting up training classes at our store at lunchtime. People have to eat, right? And so what we would do is we do a lunch and learn, and we would have the training going on during the lunch hour. People could come in, they could grab a bite to eat, they could listen to the manufacturer talk about their products, give them product knowledge and training. It also, I always made sure that there was a question and answer component to the lunch and learn so that people could freely ask questions and everybody would benefit. So training is really important. And I think a lot of manufacturers understand that. Parts distribution companies need to play a role in that. But where can an independent truck repair shop owner go to get next level training? Well, there's a few places, and I wanted to talk about that. So one, my guests that were supposed to come on today are part of the Independent Truck Repair Group. Their entire association is designed to support independent truck repair shops. And so you can go over to their website. Just search indtrg.com, indtrg.com. It'll take you to their website. They have a lot of training, and they do in-person training. They have a lot of resources available. That is one place where you can get training. Another place is my partnership with Diesel Laptops. Now, Diesel Laptops is a company that has invested a lot of resources into providing actual training for diesel repair technicians. And this training starts with diagnostic tools and software, but it goes far more than that. And so you can go over to diesellaptops.com, click on the training tab, and you'll be able to go take advantage of that training. Now, when it comes to specific manufacturers, there's one manufacturer that is investing a lot of time and effort into making diesel emission systems easier to understand and to use, and that's Redline Emissions Products. They're a client of mine, full disclosure, but Steve Hoke and Wayne Cochran are putting a lot of resources into training, and they've partnered with Diesel Laptops. They're talking to the Independent Truck Repair Shop Group, so they're kind of part of that ecosystem of people who are dedicated to providing training and knowledge to the independents out there. Jim says that he is a proud customer of Diesel Laptops and a proud member of the Independent Truck Repair Shop Group. So that's awesome to have you there, Jim, and thanks so much for commenting. I really appreciate it. So training is one component, and as we can see, there's a lot of different aspects to training, right? There's diagnostics, there is product training, then there's also the how to repair, and all of that can be found in different places. So you do have to, as an independent, you do have to draw from the different sources out there, and some of the ones that we've talked about today are just really, really high quality. Now, repair technicians. Finding sufficient repair technicians is an ongoing battle. It's a battle that, honestly, the trucking industry has not been winning over the last 20 years. And unfortunately, with so many knowledgeable repair technicians retiring in the 2020s, we're going to see an acceleration of this problem. So my friends over at American Diesel Training Center are really dedicated to solving this problem. And if you're not familiar with them, go check them out, American Diesel Training Center. These guys are completely focused on building a program to allow people who are interested in joining the trucking industry and become repair technicians to be able to do so in a cost-effective way, to be able to complete the training in as little time as possible and get them in the workforce as quickly as possible, and to be able to do that for the repair technician in a cost-effective way, but also to help those repair technicians find jobs immediately. And so American Diesel Training Center is focused on solving this problem, and they are a resource to the industry. If you're an independent repair shop and you're looking for repair technicians, you really, really need to go over and talk to Aaron, who is the president of the company, and make sure that you go over to American Diesel Training Center and talk to them. I don't get anything for recommending them. I just think that the work that they're doing is very, very important. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the need for using the proper technology. So as time has gone on, the repair shop has become a very technologically advanced place, right? We think back to S-cam wheel end shops where they're just doing S-cam brakes, and pretty basic hand tools, not necessarily a lot of sophistication in the tools necessary to do those kinds of repairs. But trucks and trailers are changing at a rapid rate. And so this is where companies like Diesel Laptops have risen out of, they didn't exist 7 years ago. And here they are today. Why? Because diagnosing a truck involves having a laptop, involves having technology. And so it's really important to make sure that you use the technology that's available. And not everyone knows about some of the things that have been developed over the last couple of years to support independent truck repair shop. So I'm just looking at a couple of the comments here, and Steve Hoke jumped in and says he's a huge fan of the Heavy Duty Parts Report. Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. He also says that the TRG are a great group, and they love the team at Diesel Laptops. And Jim is familiar. We all travel in the same circles, right? So Tim Spurlock is a great person. He's the founder of the American Diesel Training Center, and so Aaron is his president. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for jumping in. When it comes to technology, there's a lot of technology that's being developed right now to support independent truck repair shops that you may not be aware of. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was Diesel Parts. Now, I'm a brand ambassador for Diesel Parts. It's the technology is being developed by Diesel Laptops. And if you've been a follower of the show, you've heard me talk about Diesel Parts before. This is a parts cross-reference tool, parts lookup tool, allows you to look up parts without a VIN. Very, very powerful. Go over to parts.diesellaptops.com. That's parts.diesellaptops.com, and you can get free access to this. That's what's great about this tool, is very powerful and free. But Diesel Laptops is also developing a app that is specifically for independent repair shops that kind of works in lockstep with Diesel Parts. And actually, once you've created your free account with Diesel Parts, you can go over to Diesel Repair, and there you can get all kinds of information related to repairing trucks. And again, there's a large amount of information available to you completely free. So if you go to parts.diesellaptops.com and create your free account, that login works on repair.diesellaptops.com. And so you can switch back and forth between those two apps. And if you just go to diesellaptops.com, you get direct access to those apps. There's lots of links there. But, these two technologies are being brought together to support independent truck repair shops. So I highly encourage you to check those out. There's some other technology that I wanted to talk about. Finding parts, there's really no shortage of parts supply, right? I mean, independent truck repair shops have a parade of salespeople coming into their place of business every week. COVID may have changed that a little bit, but in the macro, in the long term, we know that to be true, and it'll continue to be true for a long time to come. But sometimes getting access to the right part is important. And for example, if you had an engine that needed to be replaced and one of your customers just didn't have the budget for a complete in-frame rebuild, or didn't have the budget to do that, then you can go to truckpartsinventory.com. And Scott Tates and his group are dedicated to providing North America with access to really high quality used and recycled parts. And so maybe you need to find an engine for a customer. Well, truckpartsinventory.com, great technology, because it really crowdsources that and helps you find the exact engine you're looking for, or the exact transmission, or maybe a hard to find part for an older piece of equipment. And you'll be able to find it. You'll be able to interact with the person who's selling it and get access to that part very quickly. So that's kind of a cool piece of technology that supports independent truck repair shops as well. We have another comment here from Ernie, and he's asking a question. He says, where do you see the independent repair shop buying their parts from? Dealers, WDs? Who are they buying parts from? Well, Ernie, it's been my experience that independent repair shops buy from both. And in fact, there's quite fierce competition between the aftermarkets, the people like Truck Pro and Fleet Pride, Vipar, those people, competing with the truck dealerships. And the truck dealerships now have really heavily invested in aftermarket programs, right? So they've done their own branded programs, and they're competing for that business. And so in most repair shops, I see that they're sourcing their parts and from a wide range of suppliers. And the reason for that typically is driven by price and also by knowledge, know-how, and availability. So if you're an independent repair shop and you are looking for something and your aftermarket supplier can't figure it out, you got to have a relationship with some truck dealerships so you can phone them up and you can get some half decent pricing. So you got to give them some business, because then they can look it up with a VIN. Conversely, you don't want to give all your business to them because you want to keep them honest on price. So then you're kind of looking at, okay, well, who's going to give me the best deal on brakes? Who's going to give me the best deal on filters? One of the things that I saw a lot of is independent truck repair shops would buy their filtration from a dealer and would buy maybe engine parts or a couple specific categories from a dealer, and would buy in sufficient volume that when they did have a hard to find part or their aftermarket supplier couldn't figure out what they needed, they were able to have a relationship, phone that person, and get access to the part. So it seemed to me that it was always kind of split down the middle. Is this going to change over time? Well, I think there's a lot of competition for this business, and I think people like and apps like Diesel Parts is going to level the playing field a little bit. And I think it's going to empower aftermarket and independent parts supply companies to compete at a higher level with the truck dealers that are providing their all makes parts programs to the independent. And when you think about it, if you're an independent truck repair shop owner, you got to be careful how much you support the truck dealership, because you're in competition with each other, right? In some degrees. Now, yes, truck dealers are servicing new trucks while they're on warranty, but ideally, those truck dealerships want to maintain a relationship with that fleet or with that owner operator and have them bring their truck there for the lifetime of the truck. So there is a bit of you're competing with each other in some aspects as an independent truck repair shop. Now, I've even heard of stories of independent truck repair shops setting up across the street from a truck dealership so that they could get all the overflow business. So that definitely is a relationship that ebbs and flows. Now, Ernie, you're talking about what role does online shopping play? And I've talked a lot about this in 2020. And I think that we're going to see a lot of the dynamics around how parts are distributed disrupted by the availability of technology. So, Ernie, there's a couple things going on here that we need to talk about. The role of online shopping is there's some hurdles that have to be overcome. So one, you have to have accurate data on your e-commerce site. You have to be able to allow people to identify parts accurately. That's a big hurdle. And there's something called ACEs and PIs, and in the automotive that was built by a company called OptiCat, and it's basically a data standard that standardizes data and allows the aftermarket to have access to year, make, model information. And it took them about 15 years to really crack the code with automotive, and they've turned their attention to heavy duty, and they feel that they can establish that standard in less than 5 years. So the data issue is going to become less of a challenge over the next few years, which is going to empower more and more people to put their parts online through an e-commerce site. But the other half of the equation is fulfillment. So just because I can go on with my smartphone and order a part, when does that part arrive? If you're repairing trucks, and especially as an independent repair shop, you're trying to do that for other people who are living out of their trucks, or relying on their trucks to create income, downtime is not an option. And so if I can pick up the phone and order the part from a local supplier, whether it's a truck dealership or an aftermarket supplier, even if it was 30% more money, and I can get it in 2 hours and get that truck back on the road and back to work, that 30% extra for the part is almost nothing. It's inconsequential. So just being able to buy online is important, but you got to be able to get that part quickly. And order fulfillment is probably the biggest bottleneck that will slow down e-commerce for a while. And it's only when you have an integration between a really strong e-commerce platform that puts the power of parts identification in the hands of the truck repair shop owners, the repair technicians, and you have an order fulfillment system that disrupts traditional distribution model, which is manufacturer to distributor with a retail store, ordering parts by phone and delivering them with a pickup truck, that model that we all know. That's when we see total disruption of the traditional distribution channel. And I think that we're going to see some manufacturers, the closer they can get to the end users, the more money they can make. Some manufacturers are going to invest heavily in fulfillment centers and are going to move towards more direct, selling to the end user. Some manufacturers are going to double down on traditional distribution, and some are going to find a hybrid. And I really see this all evolving over the next few years. And I think that evolution and disruption is going to accelerate. So Ernie, I hope that answers your question about the role online shopping plays. Apps like Diesel Parts is a perfect example, though, of someone who, a piece of technology that is transferring the power from the parts counter of an aftermarket parts store to the actual person doing the installation, right? If Diesel Parts empowers that independent truck repair shop owner or technician to identify the part quickly on their own, well, they don't really need to call the counter anymore. So that shift is huge. And it's not just Diesel Parts that is trying to empower the end user. And we've seen this in other industries, right? We've seen this happen in other industries. And the net effect is really large retailers have gone bankrupt. And so I think the 2020s are going to be, Ernie, I think they're going to be quite a decade. We're going to, the way we've come in to the 2020s and the way we leave, the industry is not going to be the same. Okay, so going back to supporting the independent truck repair shop, we've talked about training, we've talked about finding repair technicians, we've talked about technology, and I'm going to do a shameless plug. I want to talk about marketing right now, because for every business, especially an independently owned small business, acquiring customers is a critical part of business success, right? You need lead generation, and marketing, digital marketing specifically, can be a very, very difficult and misunderstood piece of the business. And, you think of the typical independent repair shop owner, right? They started their training as a repair technician. They may be one of the most talented repair technicians around. They've had to learn not just how to repair equipment, but how to run a business that repairs equipment. And perhaps this has pushed them out of their comfort zone in all kinds of different ways. And typically speaking, independent repair technicians are not necessarily going to be really proficient on the marketing side, because they just had no exposure or opportunity to learn that side of the business. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't some independent repair shop owners out there doing a fantastic job. There is. But for a lot of them, this is an area that it's a bit of a struggle. And so, true to the nature of the trucking industry, most of these independent repair shops are relying on relationships, that pre-existing relationships, to be able to find their customers, and then they rely on word of mouth. And but if you are in that position, if you're watching this right now, you're an independent repair shop, and by extension, if you sell parts or if you're in the industry in that capacity, I'd like you to consider, if you're struggling with your marketing, to take advantage of my consulting offer. I work with companies and we focus on sales and marketing. We focus on messaging. We focus on leveraging digital tools, everything from websites to content creation for social media to account-based marketing strategies. And I've worked with many companies this year to help them to be able to transform their entire lead generation system, because that's really what needs to happen, right? You need to build a system that you can rely on that will generate new business opportunities for you. And if you're interested in that, or if you are watching today and you know someone who could benefit from our services, send them over to heavydutypartsreport.com. And under the resources tab, there is a new webpage called Consulting Services. And that goes into more detail about the kind of services that are available. So heavydutypartsreport.com, resources tab, consulting services, or you can just go directly to heavydutypartsreport.com/consultant. I personally am on a mission to transform the heavy duty parts industry worldwide. And, independent truck repair shops are just a huge part of that industry. And they play a pivotal, vital role. And so at the Heavy Duty Parts Report, we're trying to provide people with as many resources as we can possibly give you, connecting you with as many people and hearing perspectives from as many people as possible through our interviews, our blog articles, these lives that we're doing. And I really wanted to take a final minute to just express my appreciation of the wonderful support that the trucking industry has given the Heavy Duty Parts Report in 2020. We've had manufacturers come on the show. We've had experts. We've had industry professionals. And the outpouring of support from people who have participated in the show, and then the outpouring of support from people who are regularly viewing and listening and reading all of the content that we put out. If you've been missing some of the content that we do, head over to heavydutypartsreport.com, and on the homepage, just below the first, what they call that, the hero image, there is a sign-up form for our weekly email. And we only send out one email a week, and it's just to update you on the content that we've created. So that's another resource available for people who are viewing the program. So we've had a great conversation today about supporting independent truck repair shops, supporting independent repair technicians. I hope that some of the resources I've talked about will prove to be useful to the audience. I wanted to let people know that this is the last HDPR Live of 2020. We're taking a couple weeks off for the holiday season. We are going to be back on January 8th, 2021. And we are going to have some new interviews on HDPR Live that I think are going to be very, very valuable to everyone watching. Ernie, great show today. Thanks for sharing your perspective. Ernie, thank you for participating and asking some good, solid questions and helping me by participating in today's live broadcast. I appreciate you very much, sir. Thank you. So I think that's it. I think we've covered a lot of ground. And I wanted to just thank you for supporting us in 2020. We will be back January 8th. Head over to heavydutypartsreport.com and check us out. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy your time off over the holiday season. Take care.